The reality is that people like us, transition age youth, fall into the massive canyon between children's services and adult services. We don't feel understood, so we can't connect. Because of this, many of us end up in hospitals, where that seems like the only option. What if instead of a disruptive and traumatic hospital stay, we felt understood by the community? We could grow and figure life out with peers who know what it's like. Success for Kids and Families is an award winning nonprofit in Hillsborough County in the Tampa Bay area. Through a grant from SAMHSA, S4KF and partners run a program called Florida Healthy Transitions. Healthy Transitions aims to improve access to treatment and support services for youth and young adults ages 16 to 25 that either have a mental health condition or are at risk. Healthy Transitions team believes in the youth voice, peer support, and community integration. S4KF also supports Youth Voice by partnering with Bent Not Broken as a youth move chapter in Hillsborough County.
S4KF helped us find a supportive community of peers, people like us, through healthy transitions. We call ourselves Bet Not Broken. We meet weekly for groups that aren't facilitated by just any mental health professional. They're facilitated by peers who know what it's like to feel the way we do. In Bet Not Broken, we are equals and we are free to guide the group to fit our needs that week. The group meets to work on therapeutic drumming and artistic expression. We meet to discuss coping skills and problem solving. We participate in tea lounge nights and park days.
We recognize that, unfortunately, we are the exception. We are Bent Not Broken. We are a group of young adults who are connected with mental health services that are based in our community, rooted in peer support and helping us to make the most of our lives while managing our mental health. We don't want to be the exception. We want all transition-age youth who are struggling to figure out how to live their lives while managing a mental illness to engage with mental health supports in their community that won't disrupt their lives, but instead enhance their lives. Help them to have fun, build friendships, and maintain their mental wellness. You shouldn't have to choose between a fun, productive life and your mental health. You can have both.
We believe that we, Bent Not Broken, are doing something differently that is helping us to remain engaged with mental health supports in our community and making a difference in our mental health. As part of the SAMHSA grant, S4KF gathered data to see how involvement with Bent Not Broken was impacting youth and young adults. They found that involvement of youth and young adults in Bent Not Broken for 3 to 6 months resulted in decreased symptoms and increases in feelings of worth, desire to interact with others, and to continue to engage with mental health supports.
We get together and we share about how our week's gone, what our current goals are, maybe some things we're struggling with. We share coping skills with each other. Maybe somebody knows some coping skill that they haven't tried yet. So we try and just share those, and that helps a lot. It also helps to know that you're not alone and that your feelings are valid. And even though you have these feelings inside of you and these mental health problems, that other people are experiencing the same exact thing. And it's good to be able to talk to somebody who might have your same condition.
I like the name Bent Not Broken because I feel like when we endure hard times or we experience stressful situations and we might feel broken, we're not broken because we still have that endurance and determination to get through it. Instead, I feel like we're just a little bent, we're bent out of shape a little bit and we just need support and help to bring us back into shape, to help us, to guide us, to remind us of our purpose, what we're doing, and what our goals are.
You can learn from that person, they can learn from you, and you build friends. I met my best friend at group and I met a lot of people who love me and show me that I am a good person and that I am here for a reason, and to never give up, because they haven't, I can keep going too.
I don't feel like I'm a participant. I feel like I'm a part of the family, and it's helped me build connections with people that I never thought I would build connections with.
What Bent Not Broken means to me is Bent Not Broken is like a place where I can come and I feel like I don't gotta be anybody else but me.
Healthy Transitions, we help youth and adults from 16 to 25. We help them find out their goals, and then their strengths, and through their strengths, achieve those goals.
We would use funding from the Youth Mental Health Call for applications to take on an activism project to help other youth in our community engage with mental health supports. We would like to use a problem-solving approach called positive deviance to address the problem identified in the call for applications and help support youth who are trying to engage with mental health supports, particularly in community and outpatient settings. By using something like positive deviance, But Not Broken can utilize their best resources, us. We've been able to succeed in our own ways with the support of each other and the skills we've learned along the way. So what is positive deviance? The usual way that we solve problems is by asking what risk factors are associated with poor outcomes. Once these factors are identified, we use this data to design solutions to fix the problem. Positive deviance, or PD, is an approach to solving complex health and social issues that flips this usual problem-solving question on its head. Instead of asking what factors predict poor outcomes, PD asks, are there individuals in the community with X, Y, and Z risk factors who are successfully navigating these issues without any additional resources? PD aims to uncover the solutions that are hidden in plain sight and ultimately amplify those solutions to produce programs that can be offered to the larger community to produce positive change. Bent Not Broken youth are doing something differently that's enabling them to engage with community and peer-based mental health supports that make a difference in their lives. What are the little behaviors that these youth are carrying out to help them seek support from their peers in the community while they're having a hard time? Don't really get it? Here's a story that will help us to understand PD. Back in 1990, a couple, Jerry and Monique Sternin, were working for an agency called Save the Children. They were called into Vietnam to help solve the problem of malnutrition among Vietnamese children. 2/3 of children in Vietnam were malnourished at the time. The usual approach taken to try to solve this problem was supplemental feeding. This just wasn't working. As soon as the program would end, the problem would come right back. Jerry and Monique knew they had to do something differently and were told that they had 30 days to get it done. They remembered hearing about this approach to problem solving called positive deviance. The positive deviance problem had been defined for them. Vietnamese children were malnourished. Instead of asking what risk factors were leading to this malnutrition and how they could fix the problem, Jerry and Monique enlisted the help of the community to ask and answer that question. Are there well-nourished children here in Vietnam? And if so, what are their families doing differently without any additional resources that would help their children to be of a healthy weight? Jerry and Monique issued an invitation to the families of 4 local communities to bring their children in to be weighed. The families, wanting their children to be healthy, responded to the invitation. The Sternins looked for well-nourished children who were from very poor families, who wouldn't have access to any resources that would explain their healthy weight. When they found these children, they went and observed and listened to these families to see what their secret was. What were they doing differently than other families whose children were underweight? The small acts that they uncovered would prove to make all the difference. These families were gathering shrimp and crabs from the rice paddies and serving them to their children. This was not a typical part of the Vietnamese diet. In fact, it would be like in the U.S. eating worms. When we eat sweet potatoes, what part of the potato do we eat? The root, right? Well, these families were feeding their children the nutrient-rich greens. Instead of allowing their children to feed themselves, spilling food all over the floor and wasting that nutrition, these families were hand-feeding their children. Now that they knew the secrets to having a well-nourished kid, how would the Sternins get the other Vietnamese families to adopt these practices to help their children be healthy? They could tell them what to do, but that usually doesn't go over so well. A wise elder in the village told them, 100 hearings isn't worth one seeing. 100 seeings isn't worth one doing. These families needed to act their way into a new way of caring for their children. The mothers of the healthy children, the ones who were feeding their kids the shrimp, crabs, and sweet potato greens by hand, invited the other mothers in the 4 villages to gather shrimp, crabs, and greens and bring these and their children into their homes to learn how to feed their children the positive deviance way. It worked. After this first pilot project, malnutrition in these villages decreased by 85%. The program was expanded nationwide over the next couple of years, helping over 2.2 million people, including over 50,000 children, improve their nutritional status. In the Netherlands, the positive deviance approach to problem solving was used in Rotterdam's vocational schools to improve psychological resilience among youth who came from disadvantaged backgrounds.
In this case, the Positive Deviance team used data to locate schools where youth were doing really well, even though they had no additional resources compared to other schools. They interviewed and observed the staff, students, and parents in the schools and uncovered the little behaviors that, like eating the sweet potato greens in Vietnam, were making all the difference. Some examples of the behaviors that they uncovered were having a staff member serve as a concierge to welcome the students to school every day as they arrived, taking note of who was perhaps having a bad day, maybe someone hiding tears, then following up with them and forming meaningful bonds with the youth. Birthday cards were sent home to the youth by school administrators, and birthdays were displayed for all to see on an electronic board in the school's main hallway. Calling parents at home to report not just bad behavior or performance, but achievements and exemplary behavior. Decorating classrooms to have an informal, homey ambiance. Most of the time, schools are told what they need to do better. This Positive Deviance project energized these schools by flipping the focus on what's not working to what is working. Positive Deviance helped uncover and celebrate what schools were doing right. Positive Deviance is innovative for a lot of reasons. It's a process that is owned and driven by the community, in our case, by the youth and young adults and their support networks. It both increases partnerships and decreases loneliness as the community comes together to problem solve the PD way. It looks for solutions that are working without additional resources, which promises sustainability. In the end, it uncovers behaviors that can be woven into clinical and social interventions that make all the difference, as they did for the children and families of Vietnam and the youth attending vocational schools in the Netherlands. We want to use Positive Deviance to uncover the uncommon or hidden behaviors that allow some youth without access to additional resources to engage with mental health supports in their community in order to lead the lives they want to lead. As with the story of Vietnam, the solutions that emerge from our Positive Deviance project will come from us, from our own community, and we will be the ones to find ways to reach other youth to share these strategies with them. By learning the Positive Deviance way of problem solving and doing it ourselves, we will be building a set of skills, including inquiry, collaboration, community organization, and activism that will help us in many areas of our own lives beyond the life of this project. This project will allow us the opportunity to continue to build community partnerships, to break down feelings of isolation and loneliness for youth and young adults with mental health conditions, and the potential to contribute to possible interventions aimed at improving youth and young adult engagement with mental health supports. Success for Kids and Families has submitted a legislative budget request to the Department of Children and Families in Florida that's made its way pretty far up the ladder in Tallahassee. This request should be included in the Department of Children and Families budget request during the next legislative session. It asks for state funding for healthy transition sites to continue in Hillsborough and Pinellas with an additional 3 sites in 3 urban communities with high-risk populations. We are hopeful that this funding will come through and will continue to support groups like Bent Not Broken. We also plan to ensure the sustainability of the Positive Deviance approach within our communities by documenting the work of the Bent Not Broken Positive Deviance team via video and writing across the course of the project. We will post resources such as how to use Positive Deviance to support youth to the Healthy Transitions website and spread these widely so that they can be used not only by other groups in the state of Florida, but nationally. Because Bent Not Broken is a Youth Move chapter, we have a network of over 60 chapters to help us get the word out. We have Healthy Transitions youth coordinators and peer specialists who are employed by Success for Kids and Families who will help to ensure the success of this project. You'll see in our budget request that we are planning to work with Dr. Kristen Kosiuk from the University of South Florida and Dr. Arvind Singh Hall from the University of Texas at El Paso to learn how to problem solve the Positive Deviance way. Dr. Kosiuk, being a member of our Tampa Bay community herself, will be able to continue to provide guidance to the Bent Not Broken Positive Deviance team beyond the life of this 2-year learning opportunity. We are really excited about this opportunity that will allow Bent Not Broken to uncover what works to engage youth with mental health supports and amplify these strategies to help our peers. We are looking forward to being a part of something bigger than ourselves and share our lived experience to help others.